I really don't know what to say anymore. There really hasn't been much out of me over the past 3 days because of that horrible experience. Has anyone heard of VeggieTales? I've been a big fan of it ever since I got my first DVD, which was Rack, Shack, and Benny. The show was really good in my eyes because of the characters, stories, morals, and humor. However, I have outgrown the show because I've gotten older, and I'm glad I did because there's these new redesigns and this spin-off called VeggieTales in the House, which to me is kind of a guilty pleasure these days. But I still have a bunch of DVDs and even some old VHS tapes, and I've watched pretty much all of them except for one in particular called Where's God When I'm Scared? I've actually had it before, but after I got it and was about to watch it, I suddenly lost the tape and couldn't even find it. So I decided to go to my old buddy Amazon to look for not a re-release, not a remaster, but the actual original tape. And I searched for it, but couldn't find a copy until I got to the bottom of the results. The title of the item said, VeggieTales 1993, Where's God When I'm Scared? VHS tape good as new. I couldn't wait to get it in the mail. About a week later, my aunt and uncle, who I was living with at the time, were going on a trip. They said if I ever needed them to call them. At least I can watch the tape without being disturbed because my sister is also gone as well, as she has went to a friend's house over the weekend. Right after they left, the mailman came and put something in the mailbox, most likely a package from the yellow wrapping I could see around it. So after he left, I checked the mailbox, and sure enough, there was my package. I grabbed it, went into the house, into my room, shut the door behind me, and started opening it up. After I opened it up, I started to look at the tape's condition because you know Amazon, you can get something that looks brand new on the picture of the item, but then you wind up getting a sand-filled GameCube. The tape box art looked like it was copied off of Google Images, and the actual tape didn't even have a label. Geez, Amazon, thank you very much, I said in kind of a sarcastic way, even though I was really happy to get the tape. Since I have an old VCR, thanks to, the 1980s, that I, barely use anymore, that I got from my uncle, I decided to wind the old thing up and just put the VHS tape in. I then pressed play. For some reason, it took about 9 minutes to get the whole thing working, guessing because of the bad condition. But after 9 whole minutes, which felt longer because I was, excited to watch it, the tape finally began. It seemed like everything was normal at first for the first 15 minutes of the tape. It was a great episode, and it even had a great lesson. God is bigger than any monster out there, followed by a funny, silly song called the Water Buffalo Song. But when I was going to finish the other 15 minutes after the silly song, it seemed like the tape got a little weird because it showed a black screen for the next 3 minutes. Now, not only was I upset because I thought the tape didn't work after 15 minutes or was recorded over the actual show, but I was also mad that it seemed like I was scammed out of my $10. But after a little complaining, the show seemed to restart because it showed the intro again. I was a little curious because the show normally doesn't restart unless it's over and you hear the tape rewinding inside the VCR. But it didn't, and I didn't hear the tape rewind inside. When the actual show started, it showed Bob and Larry standing on the countertop as usual, but for some weird reason, the atmosphere felt different, almost depressing. I mean, Bob and Larry were smiling and the background was bright and colorful, but for some reason, it felt depressing. Everything was normal until the scene where they read the letter. Bob was, the only guy who would, read the letters on the show, read it out loud, and it said the following. Dear Bob and Larry, I am a mother of 2 children, and my youngest son died in a car accident last night. His dad fell asleep on the wheel and crashed into a tree. He was fine, but my son was killed. I don't know what to do anymore. I just hope you understand what I've been going through. The show. Bob looked really upset with the letter. Larry didn't even say anything clever or funny, which is kind of out of character for him. The show interrupted Bob and Larry before they could say anything else. The show started up again with Junior watching TV at night in the living room, similar to Where's God When I'm Scared, with the familiar Mom Asparagus saying, Junior, time for bed, with Junior saying, just 4 more minutes. But he decides to turn off the television anyway and go to his room. He hopped up the stairs and into his room. However, he is extremely scared, even more than he was watching the TV show. He thought, yeesh, that show is scary, but it isn't real, is it? Junior goes to sleep, and we get treated to his dream/nightmares. There was a lot of flashing colors and shapes with Junior in the dream world/just dream. After about 30 seconds, I heard a loud booming voice. It sounded like my TV speakers were at 100 volume percent. However, my volume was turned down to 10. The voice said, you are weak, humble, disgraceful, no one. This part shocked me the most. I was jump scared by the monster that Junior watched on the TV, except it looked a lot more terrifying. Junior woke up with not a scream, not a cry, but instead a shocked face. It then cuts to 2 days later. Bob and Larry were with Mom and Dad Asparagus. The dad said, Junior hasn't come out of his room in 2 days. Is he sick? Is he coming down with something? Is he injured? We don't know because he never told us. They entered his room. Junior looked a lot worse than the last time we saw him. He was lying straight on his bed, staring straight up with red, bloodshot eyes, and was drooling out of a gaping mouth. Bob closed his eyes and said, Junior? Looks like he's in a really bad condition. This is the first time I've seen Bob this serious. They cut to Junior again, but he was shaking rapidly and started foaming out of the mouth. He seemed like he was crying as well. We then get cut to the hospital building where a doctor that looked like Archibald said in his British accent, Junior hasn't slept in 3 days. He looks like he's shocked, almost in a coma state. His mom said to Junior, we didn't know you were scared, Junior. You should have told us. This was already getting really disturbing and getting uncomfortable to watch. After his mom said that the beeper, the thing that tells you if the heart is still beating and beeps, went flat, Archie said to them, I'm sorry everyone, but Junior is dead. It was really sad. I felt like I was going to cry because Junior was one of my favorite characters in the show. It cuts to a picture of the Asparagus family with Mom Asparagus crying in the background. While mixed in the words, he's gone. I can't bring him back. I can't live like this anymore. Then we see Mom Asparagus in the kitchen, reaching into a medicine cabinet and pulling out a bunch of pills. She finishes with the following words: "When you lose someone, you will always feel pain until you can't feel it all." She opens the bottle, pours all the pills in her mouth, and then passes out. The final image is an image of the asparagus family. It cuts back to the countertop, where Bob and Larry are even sadder from when they read the letter. And then Bob said in a sad voice, "It's time to talk to Cordy about what we learned today." Cordy didn't work though, and Bob was getting angry at Cordy for not working. He starts bouncing off of Cordy like a ball, getting more angry every time. Larry even told Bob to stop or he might get hurt. Suddenly, Bob charged at the computer, and when he hit it, he splattered into pieces of tomato juice and tomato chunks. Larry ran off crying. He then went to the edge of the countertop and said to the audience while staring at the camera in a sad voice, "Remember, kids, God made you special, and He loves you very much. Goodbye." Larry then jumps off the counter, and when he hits the floor, he smashes into pieces. Then the episode ends with no credits. Just nothing. This was a very shocking experience for me. I didn't know who made the episode. I don't even know if I was even dreaming or not. But for the next 2 days, I didn't even sleep. I kept getting nightmares about the following episode. The next day, I just couldn't take it anymore, and I decided to email Big Idea, the company that makes VeggieTales, about this strange and disturbing episode. I didn't get a response until 2 weeks later. The email said, "To whom it concerns, from Big Idea. Subject, Disturbing VeggieTales 1993, Where's God When I'm Scared? Reply. We are sorry we have never made anything as disturbing or demented as you have described for us. But we understand your worry, so we think you should get rid of it and anything else that might worry you. And remember, God made you special and loves you very much. Big Idea." I took their word for it and threw the tape along with my VeggieTales DVDs, VHS tapes, and even my Bob and Larry plushes that I've had since I was little, and threw them in the garbage. I tried to tell other people about it, even my closest friends and my aunt and uncle, but of course, they never believed me. I was watching the news on TV, and there was a news story about a father and son who was driving last night and crashed into a tree. The father survived, but the son died. And the mother was named Michelle. That's strange because there was someone similar to the letter that Bob and Larry read. So the next day, I decided to take a drive around my home state, Arizona. And after a few hours of driving, I found myself at the Grand Canyon. So I parked my car there and went to the edge. I looked down into the rocky floor of the bottom of the canyon. Remember, God made you special, and He loves you very much.